Hi guys, Christy Cooper here, aka the Green Thumbed Reporter. We are well into December, which means here in Melbourne, Australia, it is officially summer. We're finally getting some warm weather, and these guys are loving it. So are my beans. I can't wait to take you for a tour of the garden, as we do every month. So what can you expect from this video today? I'm going to take you through and show you everything that I'm growing in the garden right now, how all our summer veggies are going, what's going really well, what's not going so well, little tricks that I'm learning along the way. And at the very end of this video, I am going to take you through 10 things that you can plant right now that will do really well across summer in Melbourne, Australia. You know, I've put a lot of time and effort into growing, propagating my tomato plants, but ironically, the one we're going to start with is over here because this was a weed. Well, actually, there's 4 weeds in there. Tomatoes that have popped out of the compost that I did not plant, and I would have thought that pot was too small. This is officially my first ripe tomato of the season. And what have I done? Absolutely nothing other than give it water, and once I saw these were growing, I gave it some fertilizer as well. You can see there's a number of different varieties growing in there. These were all total surprises and replicas of what was there last year. Let's take you over to my food cubes next. My rocket's going crazy. Some of it is starting to flower and go to seed, which I have allowed it to do because I might collect some of those seeds, but we are very much still eating and enjoying that rocket. What's happening under here? So we've got beans under here. I have just picked a bunch of beans for my son's kindy lunchbox this morning. So all the biggest ones that are ready to go have just been harvested. You can see they're all growing nicely. I've got beans on this side too. These are purple beans. The purple variety of your ordinary green beans. They taste very similar to ordinary green beans. There you go, there's one there. Again, I've just picked some of those for Eddie's lunchbox because they're yummy and very good for you. So if you're curious about the purple beans, I was. They look sort of normal inside. They're green inside. This is the smaller they are, the more tender they are. They're almost exactly the same as green beans, but different sort of nutrients and a little bit sweeter. Really yummy. I don't know why we don't see more of these. And of course, how can you miss this huge tomato plant in here, which has got plenty of beautiful tomatoes growing. No sign of any of them ripening just yet. You can see at the top here, I've pinched out the new growth. There to try and stop these plants growing taller. This plant, I think it's just one. Yeah, it is just one. Because there's so many tomato buds growing on there, and I don't want the plant to put its energy into getting bigger. I want it to put its energy into turning these babies into something that we can eat and enjoy. So all this sort of stuff, unnecessary. So I'll leave those flowers there because they might turn into fruit. Pinch off that bit because that bit keeps growing. That's a sucker. The whole thing is a sucker, but I'm only pinching off that bit. And yeah, and anywhere you plant tomatoes, you've got to plant basil, because basil and tomatoes are just so delicious together. If you're a regular watcher of this channel, you'll know we do these garden tours every single month. If it's your first time here, hit the subscribe button. That means you won't miss the next video that's uploaded. You will have heard me talk about the white cabbage butterflies before and caterpillars. This was a lovely, thriving purple curly kale plant, and it has gone to the caterpillars. And I'm okay with that. I saw all the eggs arriving, I saw all the butterflies arriving. I didn't have the strength to pick all the eggs off. So I let it go as a bit of a sacrificial plant. I am leaving it there to make my life easier, because when the white cabbage butterflies come, they lay their eggs here and they leave my other plants alone. Similar thing has happened upstairs to my nasturtiums, which I'll show you in a second. Look at that, there's literally just, it looks like a tree in the winter. All the leaves have been eaten by these big fat caterpillars, and all that's left is that thick stem. So let me show you the nasturtiums. The same sort of thing has happened. So these are the 2 new beds that my father-in-law kindly built for me. You can see tomatoes are doing really well over here. I'll give you a closer look in a second. Lettuces, my endive sadly been going to seed. Everything is largely untouched by the cabbage white butterflies, except the nasturtiums. They've barely had a chance to take off because they've been attacked by the butterflies / caterpillars. But I am okay with that, because that's exactly why I planted them. Or even down here, look, that's just caterpillar poop down there. And these have holes all through them. But my capsicums are largely untouched. If you take a close look, you can see lots of tiny little buds in there. So that one's doing pretty well. I have a mix of capsicum plants and chilli plants up here, and I don't know which is which. So it's going to be an interesting task when I start sampling the fruit for the first time. These are all looking pretty happy, but growing pretty slowly. I'm going to show you downstairs. I've got some much more developed capsicums that have got fruit on them already. They're the ones that I overwintered from last year. So these are all starting from scratch and taking longer to get going. Tucked in here amongst the endive, which I probably just need to pull out, is celery. And more celery. Slowly getting going. I might have told you last time that I planted a couple of calendula plants, because they're supposed to be, again, really good at attracting those beneficial insects and bees with their beautiful brightness. Interestingly enough, I had just one, so that has all stemmed. That whole plant has just stemmed from one seed. This might be normal for you if you grow flowers, but I don't really, I'm sort of new to the flower thing. And so I was wondering if one seed might result in only, 1 or 2 flowers. You can see just how many beautiful flowers that one is producing. And similar over here, but this one's getting squashed. So in here, I have 2 tomato plants that are going gangbusters. You can see this one on the side. I can't even remember what variety that is, but this one is much more developed. So let's hide under here. Here we go. Look at these. You would never know they were there unless you went hunting for them. They're all tucked in nicely. So these ones are looking pretty big, and I'm excited about those. Flipping over to the other side, also, tomatoes are going gangbusters. There's 4 plants hiding in there that all I need to do some work in here today. You can see I've tied it up there, but it's continued to grow and hang over, so it's getting too heavy. I need to tie it up again. But if you have a look again, down underneath are the tomatoes that are the most developed. None ripe yet, but plenty growing. Similar over here. I think these ones are supposed to be bigger. Oh, yep, there we go. Again, if you don't look for them, you could easily miss them. There's lots in there. On the end here, I have got my cucumbers. And these plants are looking really strong in terms of the fruit. I'm getting lots of flowers under there, lots of little buds. Haven't had any cucumbers yet. And I hope it won't be too long before these buds start turning into actual cucumbers. Time will tell. In the pot over here, these are my purple carrots. I've told you in the past how much Chloe loves picking and eating purple carrots, so I'm growing a new lot there. They're not ready. Ooh. No, they're not ready for picking yet. That's still a baby. And what have we got over here? Zucchinis, which aren't getting enough sun. I really need to move these downstairs, but as I've got a baby in my tummy and a bad back, I'm finding these sorts of things harder and harder to do. There's a nice zucchini there. And another little one growing down there. But I really think these just don't get enough sun here and need to be moved. Got some lettuces growing through here too. Some endive and some peas which look like they're suffering from powdery mildew and are not doing particularly well. I suspect they also don't get enough sun at the back there because they're shaded by all of this. Let's talk about capsicums for a moment. You guys might remember last year I overwintered 3 of my capsicum plants. 2 of them I cut back as per instructions, what I'd read on good old Dr. Google. And so let's compare. So these ones I'd cut right back. You can see they're obviously growing really nicely now. I haven't even changed the pots because I sort of ran out of space for them and they were doing relatively well in there. So I've just added fertilizer, haven't even changed the pots. You can see all these capsicums are now starting to grow. So this one's happy. This one too. Really happy. They're still a long way off being anywhere near ready, but you've got lots of new fruit buds growing there. From memory, I think these might be little yellow ones. I hope so, because they were yummy. Now, compare that over here. This is the plant that I didn't cut back. Again, we've got 2 capsicum plants there in a tiny pot, but I've just made sure I've kept adding frequent fertilizer. And how's that? All new buds growing. So you can see this tree is a lot lankier, taller and lankier than the others, but in terms of fruit production, I'd say it's a little bit more advanced. Even more down there. Yum. Oh, lots of new little buds growing here. So I'm pretty happy about what's going on here. So which is better? Pruning it right back or leaving it as it was? And remembering I moved this inside so the plant didn't actually die. Oh, look, I don't know that I'd bother pruning them back next year. Maybe just a tiny bit. See, that one's, look how big that one is. Beautiful. And here I have my watermelons. So I've been trying to weave them up the top so that hopefully when I get some actual watermelons growing on there, I'll be able to have a structure to support them because they're obviously very big and heavy. So you can see a little watermelon bud on the bottom there. I learnt the hard way last year. They don't just turn into watermelons unless they're pollinated. That is a boy flower there, and that's a girl flower. The way to remember it, girls have the babies or the fat bits that turn into the fruit. Boys are required to pollinate. Just like human babies, if you have an egg, it needs to be pollinated before it turns into a baby. Last year, I obviously didn't have enough bees in the garden to do the job naturally, and I didn't get any actual fruit until I started hand pollinating. And this year, I've already started hand pollinating. So the way I do that is I get a little paintbrush. You could use a cotton bud. You could use anything like that. I find the flowers that don't have a bud on it, that just have a stick, I put a bit of pollen on the brush and then I brush over the inside of the girl flowers and hope for the best. I've had a few people asking me about self-pollinating, hand pollinating, and how to do it. There's a separate video coming on that very shortly. Hit subscribe if you want to check it out. I've got a zucchini plant down here. I'm now getting a few that look like they're doing okay. It's also amazing with these how much they grow in the heat and how stagnant they stay on the cool days. Now let's take you to this bed at the back. So there's my tomatoes. I've got some flowers that I've planted down here. I need to do a better job at flowers, I think, to get more of those bees in the garden. Slowly starting to give me some colour. These tomatoes are, I think, Sweet Millions. This must be perhaps Rouge de Mamans because they're bigger tomatoes there. And to the right of it, these from memory are yellow honeybee tomatoes. The yellow honeybee tomatoes in general have grown really well for me, and there's just an abundance of flowers that all should turn into beautiful fruit. More basil, because as I've said, basil and tomatoes, heaven. And I've got some spinach over here. Interestingly, this spinach was transplanted from a pot that I was just clearing out because I just thought I'd see how they go. The rules say spinach don't like to be transplanted. I break the rules. Here's proof why it's worthwhile. Down the back here, spring onions are growing nicely. And a bit more parsley behind it. I planted a whole lot of garlic quite a few months ago, you might remember. I pulled some of them up because I could tell they just weren't growing. There was 5 in there, but 4 of them got eaten by rats. This one, I'm just gonna see. Let's see what's happening here. Well, you know what? That's not too bad. Out of all the garlics I planted, I reckon I might end up with 1. So what could you be planting right now in Melbourne or anywhere else with a similar climate? The options are endless, but I'm going to take you through a few. Beetroot, I recommend planting straight in the ground as seed. You can buy seedlings, but root veggies don't like to be disturbed quite so much. Cucumber, if you want to plant cucumber, I would probably suggest getting seedlings. That way you get a bit of a head start. As many cucumbers will have been growing for a while, you'll get an extended season. But you could put seeds straight in the ground now if you wanted to. Coriander, one of my favorites. Seeds or seedlings right now will be fine. Lettuce, make sure you pick a year-round variety. Some lettuces don't do quite so well in the heat, others do better. Check the seed packet and make sure you choose one that is appropriate for all year round. Flowers, these are the ones that I showed you earlier. Marigolds, they do beautifully over summer, and as I said, if you're having trouble attracting some of those bees to the garden, things like that, bright flowers should do the trick. Carrots, purple carrots, our favourite. More flowers, dahlias. I haven't planted these yet. I've been wanting to. I was just having a look through my seed packet, and I'm actually going to plant some of those today because I would love to have dahlias in the garden. Zucchinis, similar to what I said before, you can plant them straight into the garden now as seeds. Probably better off to purchase some seedlings for zucchinis, that way you'll get a crop quicker and you'll get to make the most out of the summer seasons. Basil. Green beans, or our favourite, purple beans. Same again, they could go straight. I would actually probably just stick those straight into the ground as seeds because they do grow really quickly, particularly in the warmer months. And there's a few ideas. If you want other videos like this, go and check out my playlist called Vegetable Garden Tours, and you'll see all the other garden tours. Your flowers are growing. Amazing. And you'll see all the other videos that I've done similar to this. Also, I would love it if you could hit the like button. That helps other people find this video.